Our table of contents for today, first, we're going to understand good debt versus bad debt, because some people may not know that there's a such thing as good debt, but it may not be what you think it is. Then we also going to talk about the two different main types of debt repayment methods, which is the snowball method and the avalanche method. Then we're going to discuss how to negotiate lower interest rates or settling balances with your creditors. Then we're going to talk about how to use action steps to tackle your debt that you have now. Then we're going to talk about recommended resources and tools to take and use. Okay. For those of you who missed last week, we talked about saving your first $1,000 so that you can build an emergency fund and also help you avoid debt and just develop some type of peace of mind. Then we also talked about starting a high yield saving account. Hopefully, if some of you didn't have one before, you may have started one this week, or you might have started it last Sunday. We did give two recommended sources, which was Wealthfront and Marcus. So if you use either of those, kudos to you for getting a start. And then we also talked about cutting 3 expenses and committing to saving $10 to $20 a week so that you can get started. Just starting with a little amount truly does add up, especially if you put it in that high yield savings account and then you're getting 3+% on that compared to the 0.01 that you'd be getting from like Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. So our objectives for today, we're going to understand good debt versus bad debt. Then we're also going to understand the snowball debt repayment method as well as the avalanche repayment method. A short introduction to debt. I've included a couple of these facts here to help you feel like you're not alone whenever you are thinking about the different types of debt that you have. 77% of U.S. households actually carry some form of bad debt. Then we also have 48% of credit card users carry an outstanding balance. So the balance is what you owe on that credit card, how much you charge to it. That balance also includes interest because credit cards are not free. Then we have 11% of credit card accounts are making only minimum payments. If you have the app that your credit card uses, I personally use Discover. It has a minimum payment balance that I would need to pay for my balance for that month in order to stay in good standing so that there's not any blemishes on my credit. Then 41% of Texas residents are subject to debt collection, and the second highest in the country is Louisiana. That comes from the Texas Fair Lending Alliance. Here, let's see what you know. So, for this scenario, Livingstone has recently turned 30, and he's decided he wants to get serious about getting rid of his debt. His outstanding debt is listed below. Which of the following do you think he should tackle first, and why? There's no right or wrong answer here. All of the debt needs to get taken care of, but looking at these numbers, which do you feel like he should do? So there could be two possible answers. You could do the credit card because it does have the highest interest rate, but let's say Livingstone wanted to tackle the one that has the lowest interest rate first. Then the answer would be the buy now, pay later. But as you can see, these are two different methods, and I'll get to go into the avalanche versus the snowball method. And for those of you who picked the credit card, you picked the avalanche method. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those two different methods. The cost of carrying high interest debt, like the last scenario. So Livingstone had a lot of different types of debt, and some of them had way higher interest rates than the other ones. So what is the cost of him carrying that high interest debt for as long as he has? So first off, we have interest compounds against you. So like with the high yield savings account, those have interest on it, but that's good interest. That interest is making you more and more money by you not doing anything. But with debt, interest is exactly the opposite. So with the interest increasing, that means you owe more and more. So the longer that you keep these outstanding balances, the more time that interest has to compound on these balances, making you owe more. And in some cases, you'll pay almost half or maybe even more than the balance of what you had originally in interest simply because the interest was outstanding for so long. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of those high interest debts so that you're not stuck in this cycle. Next, we have limits your ability to save or invest. The more debt you have, the less money that you have to save to the side for your emergency fund, or if you do choose to invest. I do recommend getting rid of your debt before you try to do any investing. Like you have to make sure that you're okay first at home before you start trying to make extra money. because all the extra money that you make is simply just going to go towards the debt. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of your debt so you can enjoy that money that you have left over or that you are going to use to invest. Next, we have can hurt your credit score. Now, this is the main reason that people think of whenever they're thinking about all the debt that they owe others. So the longer you keep this debt, or the longer that it's outstanding, or the longer that you miss your payments, or the longer that you don't do your minimum payments, that hurts you in the long run. All of those goals that you want to achieve in the future, it's going to be harder, especially if your credit score is very bad. Like, I know some people, they want to get a new car in the future, or they want to be a homeowner at some point in their life. But if you continue to have high interest debt and not take care of your business, your credit score is going to suffer, and ultimately you're going to suffer. Then lastly, we have it leads to financial stress. Everybody knows the stress that they have when it comes to debt. There's always this thought in the back of your mind, or maybe something that's in the front of your mind, because it's something that could be affecting how you live day to day. Like, let's say you owe someone who you pay rent to. If you continue to not take care of that, let's say you miss out on a couple of months, you think they're going to let you stay in their house? That's going to add more and more stress to you. So you're going to want to make sure that you're taking care of that high interest debt so you don't have to add more and more stress on top of the daily stress that people already have to go through. Now, I've talked about good debt and bad debt a couple of times, but now I know you're like, TK, what does that mean? You've talked about it multiple times. Okay, let's go over it now. So, good debt is something that funds assets that increase in value. So, something that's an asset is something that's making you money, or it's something that's making your life better in some way. So, let's say like a house that's making your life better. That's good debt. Another example of good debt is something that generates income over long-term value. So going back to that house, let's say you have a house for a while and then you're like, you know what? I don't think I like this house anymore. I think I want to live somewhere else. Or I think I want to go back to apartment living because I was able to have maintenance come on crew. And with the house, I have to do all of this stuff by myself. Let's say you decide to just remake the house and then you sell it. So that house could still be good debt, even though you're still paying it off now, but it's something that will be good for you in the future. So it's something that's a long-term investment. Next, we also have it increases your future earning power that goes along with the last one. And it could be something that is tax deductible. So examples of good debt, we have student loans or a home loan. And for good debt, there's something that in finance we call the return on investment. So the return on investment is just how did you benefit from taking on this debt? So with student loans, you have a result. So it's not guaranteed, but you do have a better chance at getting a higher paying salary job or just having that stability of a salary job, even though you took on student loans. But it's still good debt because in the future, the results are going to exceed that good debt that you had to take on in the past. Now let's talk about bad debt. Bad debt is the debt that we experience every day. It's the debt that we're used to. It's the debt that's haunted us for a good portion of our lives. Everybody knows about bad debt. So bad debt would be things that lose value quickly. So let's say you're like a shoe collector. If you're already in debt and you decide to spend your extra money on collecting shoes, do you think that's good for you in the long run? Probably not. And then it's also including finance wants and not finance needs. So you might have heard me talk about before, like DoorDash. Let's say you're spending your credit card on DoorDash because you don't have the money, but you know you want some chicken nuggets. That's bad debt. It's not even worth it. It's a want. It's not a need. You don't need to eat out. Then we have creates monthly repayments that you can't even afford. So if you are in desperate need of a car, but you decide to pick up an auto loan with a bank and they charge you crazy interest because you're thinking that you're getting a better deal from them than from the dealership, that is terrible. You're creating more and more bad debt for yourself. What you should do there, especially if you know that you're struggling and you're living paycheck to paycheck, try to set aside $10 to $20 a week and save up enough money so that you can get you a cash car or go to the car auctions and get you a car for cheaper that you would definitely have to invest in, but you would be able to have something that gets you from point A to point B, and you wouldn't have to do Ubers to work, Lyft to work, $20 to get there, $20 back. You could have put that $20 in a high yield savings account and then let that money get more and more interest and then take all the money out and buy you a cash car. Now you don't have to worry about a car note every month that you can't even afford just because you want to look so fancy with a brand new car instead of just getting something a bit older but still get you from A to B. Then we also have bad debt creates a connection with other credit institutions that may just be a weight on you. Like they're constantly emailing you about your outstanding balance or how you need to do this, you need to do that. That creates more and more financial stress that I was talking about earlier. So making sure that you stay away from these types of bad debt is very important towards reaching financial freedom. Identifying the culprits. So some cases of these bad debt that weren't talked about on the last slide, but we encounter on our day-to-day lives, credit cards. Credit cards, very convenient. Sometimes you just don't have the money. Sometimes you need to swipe the credit card. And although credit cards may have some deals, like you may get a certain amount of cash back every couple of months because you use your credit card at gas stations and stuff like that, they still have very high interest. Credit cards have very high interest. The typical amount that credit cards have for interest right now is about 20%. So imagine buying something and then having to pay 20 more percent than what you paid for it just so you could have it in the moment. So make sure you're being careful with credit cards. They can boost your credit score, but if you're using them wrong, they're just going to be the death of you, honestly. Then we have payday loans. I know sometimes it can get very hard and it seems like you just have no other option, but payday loans are a scam. They're terrible. They charge even higher interest rates than a bank would charge you for like an on-the-spot loan or like a line of credit. Payday loans are ridiculous. So if you are in a bind and you need some other type of method to get some type of money quickly, try to look for other alternatives besides payday loans. Then we have certain personal loans. So some personal loans, they may have even higher interest than a payday loan. Or you may just need to do some shopping from bank to bank because some banks, if you do bring in an interest rate from another bank, they'll match it or they'll offer you an interest rate that's lower. Now, some banks, it may be like 0.2 or 0.3% lower, but that 0.2, 0.3% makes all the world of difference. Then we also have buy now, pay later plans because some of them do come with fees. And also with the buy now, pay later, they're on stuff like that may not actually be a need for you. So you're just like saying, oh, I need a new TV to watch football on, but you have a TV in your room and there's nothing wrong with it. It just still has the big back on it and you're just ashamed for no reason. Nothing wrong with that TV. You have to stay down until you can come up. So those buy now, pay later plans, those are traps. You want to make sure that you're being smart with what you sign your name next to. These people will not stop until you finish paying them what you owe them, plus more for you even choosing them. So you want to make sure that you're being very careful whenever these culprits come around you, or if these culprits start to wander in your mind as alternatives for getting out of the mud, because that may not be the case. So now that we've gone over the different types of good and bad debt, and then we've also identified the culprits, now let's talk about where do I get started from? So the thing about debt is it's not knowing where you need to start, but it's just the matter of actually getting started. So just taking that first step is a strategy. I know a lot of people, they like to wait until they have a full strategy formed before they even make the first move. But just getting out of your comfort zone and making that first move goes a long way. Because once you have that first step of courage, it just carries throughout. And that just helps you with getting your debt repayment started. Now, you want to make sure that you're shifting your mindset. So if you missed out on the first week, we're going to make sure that we are developing an abundance mindset. You're not broke. You're just in recovery mode. You're not stuck. You're just on pause right now. So, like I was saying before, you're going to want to make sure that you're starting today. Don't say, oh, I'm going to just start when I'm in a better mood. Nope, start today. Start today. If you continue to push it off, you're never going to get started. So you want to make sure that you're actually taking that progress and not waiting for perfection. You don't have to be perfect in any of this. Nobody who starts a journey to make themselves better starts perfect and knows exactly what's going to happen a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. You have to be able to take that leap and trust in yourself and trust that you're learning and you're continuing to learn and just making sure that you're continuing to stay on top of things and not just be passive about it. You need to be aggressive about wanting to be in a better place. Then you want to make sure that you know that getting out of debt is an act of self-care. So last week when Livingstone was talking about paying yourself, this is what that means. Getting out of debt is an act of self-care. That's less money that you have to worry about that creditors are going to come after you needing for next month. So making sure that you're paying yourself and getting out of debt, that's self-care. That's going to make you feel better. It's going to be something that you can honestly feel different in that moment. You can see the number change. You can see it go down. You can see that you're closer to that end. And you want to make sure that you remember that debt is temporary, but making sure that you maintain that discipline is power. Maintain what you're doing. Make sure that you're staying consistent. You don't want to make an extra payment one month and then the next month you're like, oh, well, I forgot to make a payment. I'll be okay. You'll be okay. But if you were more disciplined, you wouldn't have to think about, oh, well, will I have to cut anything out this month? Will I have to do this? Will I have to do that? If you make sure that you stay disciplined and you stick to your plan of action, you will be okay. You'll be closer in that recovery mode and you'll be farther from how broke you were when you originally started. We have another scenario since I know my family, we're guilty of this. When it comes to tax refund time, we just want to spend it, spend it, spend it. So I have a scenario for you. What should you do? So we have James, and he just got a $1,200 tax refund. Should he buy new Gucci shoes? Should he save $1,000 for emergencies? Should he pay down his $800 credit card? Or should he split it between B and C? What would you suggest that James do with this tax refund? You're going to want to remember, like I was saying, a return on investment. What's going to make his life better? I was about to say there's no right or wrong answer, but there's definitely a wrong answer. He should absolutely not buy the new shoes. He does not need new shoes, especially not Gucci shoes at that. If you really need new shoes, why do they have to be Gucci? The Gucci's gonna take the whole 1,200, and then he's still gonna have that credit card bill, and they're still gonna be calling him next week about it. So the answer here is split it between B and C. I say split it between B and C because B is definitely him paying himself. Making sure that he has some money for emergencies would absolutely help give him peace of mind, and it may even hold him over just in case something happens, like after he gets that tax refund. Let's say he loses his job. Those Gucci shoes are not going to keep him warm at night. But putting $1,000 in his emergency fund may help him with needing to put that extra money towards the rent that he may need so that he can stay in his house for an extra month so he can get stuff together. And then also making sure that he's paying down that credit card at the same time so that he can have a bit more ease of mind when it comes to his money and just having less financial stress. He just came into this big blessing of $1,200 and he shouldn't just splurge it and not be grateful with it. So split it between B and C would be the smartest decision here for James. Now let's talk about those repayment methods. I'm always have a method for you. So this time we're going to be talking about the avalanche method and the snowball method. Because I know throughout the presentation, y'all might have been like, what is he talking about all this cold weather for? I'm over here talking about debt repayment strategies. So first, let's talk about the avalanche method. So with the avalanche method, you're going to want to make sure that you attack your highest interest rates. So if you remember from the beginning, when we were talking about Livingstone and his debt, he had the highest interest rate on his credit card. If he was using the avalanche method, he would absolutely save money in interest charges over time. But the only thing about that is it may take longer since it'll take you a while before you start hitting those other accounts that you have outstanding debt for. But you will have the one with the highest interest rate and the one that's making more and more debt, have that taken care of first. So that is a perk of that, but you do want to make sure that you're looking at the different interest rates and balances that you have and how much you're already putting towards those before you pick either of these methods. So then with the snowball method, with this one, you're going to do the opposite of avalanche and you're going to attack the lowest balances first. So with the first one, with Livingstone, we had for the buy now, pay later that had the lowest interest rate. We attacked that one first since we were using the snowball method. With that, you can create extra funds faster by eliminating those low balance accounts. So if he takes out that buy now, pay later in 2 months, now he doesn't even have to worry about that buy now, pay later. He could take that extra money that he was using on the buy now, pay later and put that on the credit card. And with that, it makes more immediate sense of progress because you get to see those zero balances quicker. It's more satisfying compared to the avalanche method, which is more so one of those trust the process kind of things. So it helps you build momentum and it makes you feel good about yourself because you get to see all of those accounts just slowly go away. But I'm not here to tell you which strategy is best for you because everybody has their own different lives. So taking into account everything that you have going on and picking between these two methods, pick the one that's best for you. This is all about you repaying back your debt, not me repaying back what I think you have. It's about you and your debt. You know it best. Scenario 3. Kendra owes $20,000 on her car with an 8.5 interest rate, but she also has a $3,000 outstanding credit card balance with 21%. If she gets a $500 bonus at work and then decides to put it on her credit card first, which payoff method is she using? Is she using A, the avalanche method, or B, the snowball method? She pays on the credit card with 21% with the highest interest rate first. Which method is she using? So Kendra's making sure that she's taking care of the highest interest rate first, since it is more attainable, since it does have a lower balance, but it does have that higher interest rate. So it would be getting more and more interest quicker than her car loan. So shout out to Kendra for using the avalanche method. Now next, let's create a plan. I know I said earlier that progress over perfection, but this is a part of progress, making a plan. You cannot go off a whim and just think you're just going to somehow pay off your debt with no plan. You have to have a plan. So step 1, you're going to want to make sure that you create a list with all of your debts. I mean, all of them, all of your debts with the balance that you have as of that point, the minimum payment that goes along with it, or how much you currently pay, and then the interest rate. Making sure you have all 3 of these points is very important. If you don't have one of these pieces, you need to go back into your terms that you have with the creditor and make sure that you find out what each of these is. Next, you're going to choose a method. So whether that be snowball or avalanche. Snowball like Livingstone used in the beginning with the Shein, or avalanche like Kendra used in the last when she was paying off her credit card with the highest interest rate first. Think about which one of these would work best for you. Then you're going to allocate extra funds. So if you have any extra money, you want to make sure that you're using that towards debt. Don't use it for something that you feel like you need, but you don't actually need. Make sure that you're taking care of top priority debt first and making a little extra money on that minimum payment that you owe. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you move on to the next debt. Once you clear off one account of debt, you don't want to just go, hooray, I'm free. You're not free. You want to make sure that you're taking care of all of your debt and moving on to the next. Don't stay in one point for too long. Yes, you can celebrate that you cleared off one of your balances of debt, but don't sit in that for too long. You have moves to make. You want to make sure that you're actually staying on top of things. Don't get too comfortable. Like I said last time, use the excess funds for the next debt. So now that you've taken off that $30 you were paying a month, now you have an extra $30 that you can use towards the next debt that you need to take care of, depending on the method that you chose. Then, if you get to a point where you can automate your payments, first off, give yourself a pat on the back, because that's big. Automate your payments if you can, so that you don't even have to think about it. Just having a piece of your money go to a retirement plan or a savings account, you can do that here too with your debt. You can set that to a minimum payment amount that you already are required to owe, or you can have it be just a little extra, or you can make payments in between. If you have the extra money, just really make sure that you're using your money wisely. Make sure that you're not just being frivolous and just, oh, I have this extra $30. That means I'm going to go get a $30 meal. No, Absolutely not. You know you got your credit card due. Why would you go buy a $30 meal? That doesn't make sense. Make sure you're being smart. Then we're going to make sure that we increase our income or we free up some cash. So if you have any unnecessary expenses, streaming subscriptions, or you got a car wash subscription, even though you only wash your car once a month, that was me. I had to bring that up. But I realized that that was unnecessary. So I had to make sure I cut that off. Pick up side hustles or gig work. So whether that be you do DoorDash on the weekend, or if you work 4 days a week and you're off one day that week and you just don't want to spend your weekend doing extra stuff, you want to relax. Use that fifth day to do some DoorDash, some Uber Eats, do some dog walking, do whatever you have to do in order to get some extra money, sweep a retirement home or something like that, something where you can get some extra money. Then use those tax refunds, bonuses, cash back, all of that. Use all of that for your debt. Make sure that you're taking care of your debt whenever you're getting this extra money. Don't automatically just go, oh, I'm just going to buy a $100 meal and then I'm going to take care of stuff. No, that's crazy. Make sure you're being smart. We're all adults here. We want to make sure that we're being smart with our money. It's not cute to lack financial literacy. It's not cute. So you want to make sure that you're actually taking care of business. So now we're going to talk about tools for faster progress. First, we have call your creditors to negotiate a lower price or settle your balance. So I was talking about this last week, like whenever I was saying that my phone bill was too high and I called Verizon and I was like, I just can't do this. Like, this is just too high. And then they made my monthly payment lower. You have to call. You can call and try to negotiate. Not a lot of people know that. Not a lot of people try. But the people who try, those who actually try for the most part, there aren't too many people who say, oh, well, I tried and they just didn't give it to me. These people want your business. They want your money. So you need to make them work for it. And you have to keep yourself in mind. If you know that you're already struggling to make that payment, see if you can call and make it a little lower. You will never know if you don't try. So next we have a balance transfer. Make sure you watch out for fees though, because with trying to transfer your balance to another creditor, that can have fees, or they may even try to say that they'll give you a better deal, but then they're making it even higher and now you're stuck. Then we also have debt consolidation loans and credit counseling. So if you make sure that you're actually staying on top of everything and you get some advice from someone on the outside, like a financial advisor, just kind of talking to them about where you are, that will help you with faster progress. The main idea here is being able to reach out and ask for help or ask for better treatment. Just taking those steps, it sounds like you're just like, oh, well, duh, but it's something that people don't even think about. If you try it, you may have better results than you could have imagined. So just try it. You never know. But I know for the calling the creditors and trying to negotiate, you may be thinking, well, I don't even know where to get started. I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to get on the phone with these people and I'm not going to know what to do. I'm not going to know what to say. I'm going to mess up. I figured that. So here's what I did. I gave you a conversation breakdown that you're going to use whenever you're calling the creditor. So first off, you're going to want to make sure you start with confidence and politeness. So if you'd like to take a screenshot of this slide so you don't forget for later, or you want to write some stuff down as I'm talking, do so. There's no shame in this. It's your debt. So you want to make sure that you're taking accountability. So first, you're going to start off with something really short, sweet, and simple. Hi, my name is such and such, and I've been a customer for this amount of years, and I like to discuss lowering my interest rate. Or this can also work for if you want to settle a balance. So let's say you owe someone $1,000 and you're like, I'm sorry, I don't have $1,000, but I do right now. I do have $850. Some people, they will take it. You just have to try. If you don't call and ask, you'll never know, and you'll just be stuck. So next, you're going to want to make sure that you show your reliability. So this could be something along the lines of, I've always made my payments on time, or I've been working hard to stay current, and I've been doing this and I've been doing that so that I can stay current. Or some people, they may fall off the train. That's okay. We're all human. We understand that not all the time that things are going to go the right way. So just being honest, but making sure that you're maintaining that reliability. So you can say something along the lines of, I've gotten back on track with my payments recently and I plan to stay consistent. Just saying that could go a long way. And then, like I was saying earlier, if you do have to choose a loan, you want to make sure that you're doing your research and bringing in facts. And you need to have it with you whenever you're making that call. So you can say something along the lines of, I've received credit card offers with lower rates from XYZ. Can you match or beat that so that I can stay with your company? You want to make sure that you say that last part. Can you match or beat that so that I can stay with your company? Whenever you threaten to leave the company, then they're going to start making phone calls or, oh, let me check with my boss. Let me see what I can do. Oh, let me see if my supervisor, they're going to start trying to see if they can keep you there. So some banks, they will match or they'll beat that, whether that be like by 0.2 or 0.3%. But that 0.2, 0.3% goes a long way. And if you can save extra money, why not save extra money? There's no shame in that. Step 4, you're going to want to make a clear request. Right now, my interest rate is X percentage. Can you reduce that today? And whenever you're doing that, you're going to want to make sure that you get this in writing. Just something verbal, no, that's not going to work. You need to get all the information. You need to get it in writing that they're going to make it happen. You need to get in writing who you were talking to. You need their supervisor. You want to make sure that you're getting everybody who needs to be in the know about what's going on. You need to write down what date y'all had the conversation. Where was the conversation? How long was the conversation? What was the phone number you called? You need to have everything, because the same way that you're trying to get over on them, they're going to try to get over on you and say that it never happened. So you need to have everything in writing. You need to make sure that there's no holes that they could possibly try to get back on you for. Then after all of that, you're going to want to pause and let them take it all in. Don't feel the silence. Let them check and ask their bosses for available offers of what they can make happen. And if they say no, then you pull a Karen. Is there a supervisor I can speak with about lowering my rate? Or do you have a hardship program or a balance transfer option that could help? Have alternatives ready just in case they say no. Knowing that you have alternatives and educating yourself on the alternatives that you could possibly do, you're already a step ahead. They know that they cannot mess with you because you are doing the research. You know exactly what you're doing. You can't go into this phone call or this meeting shaking. You have to be confident. You have to walk in there like you know that you are the prize, because you are the prize. They want your money. You don't want their money. They want your money. So you have to make sure that you walk in with that same attitude. But don't be rude, because step 7 is close respectfully. Thank you for checking. I really want to keep my account in good standing and continue to be a customer. So thank them if they were able to make something shake, or thank them for trying to make something shake. And just if you decide that you want to move on, then move on. But make sure that you stay respectful. No need to make an entire scene, make it this big thing, because then they could try to pull it back on you. So maintain your composure. Stay calm. Be respectful. And that's a quick little conversation breakdown for if you want to try to negotiate. Because I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but now we're giving you the exact tools and conversation that you need for this. Action step 1. Make sure you list out all of your current debts, all of them, even if it's just a little buy now, pay later for $50. Put it on the list. Put it all on the list, everything. And then, like I was saying, make sure you put your minimum payment as well as the interest rate that you're currently getting for it. Okay. Action step 2. Pick a payoff method. We talked about the avalanche method, and then we talked about the snowball method. Step 3. Make an extra payment towards your highest priority debt. So if you have a little extra money, let's say you chose the snowball method, now you have one account, close it out, and you can use that extra money towards your next debt. Or if you want to put it towards the one that has like the highest interest, just to have a little sprinkle on top, you can do that too. Just make sure that you're using that extra money that you have to go towards that debt. We have our financial influencer of the week. We have Nika Booth at A Debt Free Gonna Be. So with Nika, she focuses on debt payoff strategies like we were talking about today. So she talks about tackling student loans, credit cards, and she shares step-by-step realistic plans. And she also has examples of people in real life, and she also shares her own personal stories as well. She also talks about student loan forgiveness advocacy. With her, she also helps you with negotiating student loan balances and interest rates, and she gives a play-by-play book on how to do it. She's also helped multiple people. She's been able to help over $2 million worth of loans get canceled. So I would definitely recommend checking out Nika Booth. And if you have any type of social media, she's there. She also has her own website if you look her up. That is our financial influencer of the week. Now we have recommended resources. So we have a debt repayment plan, and it's going to be in Google Sheets so that you can use that. I'm actually going to go over it here in a second. This one is a bit more complex than the ones that we've had in the previous weeks. So we have our debt reduction calculator, and any of the cells that are green, do not touch them. They already have formulas in them, so do not touch them. All you need to touch is this area here. So you're going to put the different creditors that you have. So let's say you have a credit card. I'm going to go ahead and put something in here. Let's say you have a Discover credit card. Let's say you have $2,500 outstanding on that. And then let's put it towards that 21% that a credit card would typically be. And you pay $50 on it for your minimum payment. On the side, the interest only, this amount right here changed. So this is telling you how much interest on that $2,500 balance that is going to be interest alone. I also have little tabs up here in case you forget about what the different columns mean. So the first one, we have the creditor. So that would be whoever you owe. So Discover. Then the next one is balance. So that's how much you need to currently pay off. Then we have rate, which is the interest rate, or the APR, which is the annual percentage rate. That's how much interest you're going to be charged in a year. It's not 21% per month. So you want to make sure that you're getting the annual percentage rate. And speaking of annual, you want to make sure that you're sticking to either monthly or bi-weekly payments whenever you are putting these debts here. So let's say that your student loan is more of a bi-weekly payment. You want to make sure that you're converting that into a monthly payment. So if it's $4,900 per 2 weeks, then it's going to be $9,600 per month. So all I did there, the 4,800 times 2. And this is just so y'all can see the computer's math. You do not have to add in formulas here. I've tried to break it down for y'all. Then we have the payment. So this is either the current minimum payment or the month that you typically pay for this debt per month. And then here is custom if you want to do like any formulas here, or if you're like, you know, the snowball method and the avalanche method, they seem cool and all, but I think I want to pay this one first, and then I want to pay this one second. You know, like I just feel like doing what I feel like I want to do. That's okay. There's this column right here so that you can just do whatever you want to. Once again, these are your debts. You have to take control of your life. You can do what you want to do. So then we have here, this chart will actually help you if you want to choose the avalanche method. It'll recommend which one that you need to pay off first. Or if you want to do the snowball method, you can just choose it here. The way that I got here, I clicked on this little arrow right here. And then boom. Also, if you wanted to, in this custom column, you saw how I like put 1 here and then 2 here. If you wanted to do it based off of the order that you entered here, you would just click it right here. And it will take care of it for you. So then here at the bottom, it's also a breakdown per month. So if we have that Discover credit card, and as you can see, it automatically updated from when I typed it in here. So you don't have to touch it here. You really don't have to touch anything down here. You just have to touch here. Touch this only. Everything else automatically updates. The hard work is done. All you have to do is go down here, look at this chart, see what it says. So let's say that Discover credit card, we had $2,500, and then the interest that we're paying off is $62.37 per month, and it's taking us 2 months to pay it off. That means we'll have it paid off by March 2025. But it says March 2025 because the date that I have here is the first day of 2025. But we're already almost done with 2025. So make sure that you're updating the balance here before you even get started. Then over here, we also have a payment schedule. This one, it looks a bit confusing, but you don't have to touch anything here. You don't have to touch anything here. The computer does all the math for you. So it's telling you how much you're going to pay. If it said that it took us 2 months to pay off that credit card, that means in April we have nothing. So then it puts that extra money towards that auto loan, since that's what we said we wanted to pay next, depending on the method that we chose. So you don't have to touch anything on this sheet right here. You don't have to touch anything. It'll do it for you. All the hard work is done. All you have to do is focus on touching here. That's all you have to do. You get who you owe, the balance you owe, the rate at which you owe, and then the payment that you're paying. That's all you have to touch. Do not touch anything else, and all the work will be done for you. And if you have any other questions, email our finance experts at communityalliancepact.org. All you have to do is email that address, and then we'll get back to you if you have any questions or if you need any help with anything. Okay? Now we have our key takeaways. We were able to understand good debt versus bad debt today. We were also able to learn about the different repayment methods. In our verse of the day, like always, we have Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. And that concludes our presentation for this week. If you have any questions or you need anything answered or you have any comments that you want to leave about this presentation, make sure to leave them below. What you love or what you hate or what you wish you see more of in these presentations. We want to hear from you so that we know what we need to be doing in the next upcoming weeks. And that is all I have for today. Next week, we'll have Livingstone, and he'll be talking about building an emergency fund. So actually taking that money that you have from the savings account and actually making something happen with that. So make sure you join us back here, same place, same people, and get ready to learn. Thank y'all for coming today. I will see you back here next week. All right. See y'all next week, guys.